said that these bills said that this is nothing like Senate Bill 5. In fact, it's the opposite of Senate Bill 5. It's intended to just simply give people the choice to opt out of a union if they're in a shop where there's a union and they don't believe in the union or what they do.
They already have that option currently to opt out if they choose.
So that's a mischaracterization of what the legislation would do.
And should those people who opt out explain why they should have to pay dues?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. So why are you afraid of the bill? It's doing nothing to change the law.
Well, they certainly intend to do things to change the law because they want to eliminate collective bargaining, which has a direct impact on safety, specifically for police and fire, for teachers, and the ability to have the resources that they need to have smaller class sizes to be effective educators. So it absolutely will have far-reaching negative impacts, very much like Senate Bill 5.
We'd like to point out, too, that to avoid the obvious notion that there's hypocrisy involved by the sponsors of right-to-work legislation, I, for one, would like to see them demonstrate their sincerity about this idea of freedom. I want to see them introduce a law, for example, today that says that taxpayers in this state, if they don't want to, don't have to pay their share of state taxes to support corrupt charter schools in Ohio. I can identify a whole range of ideas and notions that are based in the democratic institutions that we support. We don't like the way that charter school legislation or other legislation, Medicaid legislation in this state is progressing. But the fact of the matter is that people chose a majority, and that's what we live with. All we're asking is that the choice that working people in their workplaces make by majority vote, again, by majority vote, be respected, and that it not be legislated away, because we could, again, make a long list of ideas we'd be happy to present to this legislature about the right that people ought to have to opt out of everything under the sun. But the last time I checked, states weren't allowed to opt out on universal suffrage and ignore the amendment to the Constitution that granted women the right to vote. That was a decision made by a democratic process and a majority vote. States can't undo the amendment to the Constitution that eliminated slavery in this country just because on a whim they might want to do so. So the bottom line is that we're all obligated by democratic principles to accept the decisions of majorities, and in our case, when our workers make these choices, it's done, again, by majority vote, and they're all offered the opportunity to undo that decision by majority vote anytime that they want to. So I think it's important that we remember that if there's somebody standing up for freedom, it's probably the folks in this room in the trade union movement, not the extreme right-wing folks who want to eliminate the right to make democratic choices that will then govern the majority of workers.